Okay, we're on the third day of the Ascot Carnival, and I'm sitting here today with no Stu, but Martin's come along for the ride.
Yeah, I'm sheltering from the rain today. It's pretty murky out there and stuff. I think we'll be doing most of our stuff from indoors today. I think, don't you? Poor old Stu's got earache and can't make it. It makes a change from giving everybody else earache, but he's got earache himself today.
Can't say that about Stu and his cool, smooth, dulcet tones.
He knows what I mean. He's hopefully he'll get better soon. And also, we ought to point out at this point as well, because we haven't done before, that Leon, who does all the work behind the scenes, hasn't been very well either, has he? So let's hope he gets better soon as well, and maybe has a few winners to sort of perk him up a bit over the next week or so.
He was very ill. It's not nice what he had.
No, well, let's hope he's
on anyone.
Yeah, let's hope he's on the mend.
So we should have a look at the first race, race 25. That's the Queen's Vase, and that's over 2 mile in a Group 3. And what do you like in this one, Martin?
Well, the first thing to point out of this race is that we're running it over the wrong distance now, because it's been changed to a 1 mile 6 furlong race in real life, because they decided that they needed it to, because it's for 3-year-olds. A lot of the horses that were running in this were going to go on and run in the St Leger, which is over 1 mile and 3/4, so they dropped it to 1 mile and 6 to put the quality of the runners up a bit, so people would put in their horses that they thought might be going for the Leger later in the season. So hopefully we'll do that next year as well. But this year it's another one of those races, isn't it? Because it's allowing the new horses in, we don't really know how good the new ones are.
You'd probably, with no disrespect, you'd probably rule out Molly at Surface horse and Jamie Hopkins' horse, although I'd love them both to prove me wrong. But outside that, you look at you got Steve Rand, Dunderspark, Darren Thompson, Josh Sutherland. Hans' horses are okay. Really, his horses aren't finishing races off. And then you got yourself, Martin, and then you got Captain Kirk and Gray's horse and Paul's horse, Jakanowski. So if you take out your horse, Hans, Molliet's and Jamie Hopkins, it's a cracker field. Saying that, I suppose we've got to pick one, don't we? So
yeah,
really the only person who's not in this is John Morgan.
Well, that'll make a change. Somebody else can win one, because he won just about everything yesterday. If he didn't win it, Paul Rhodes did. So it was a real bad day for everybody else yesterday, because they really did dominate yesterday. And then you throw Josh into the mix over the jumps as well. It's been a pretty bleak week for most people, and it's definitely been a bit top heavy this week with the big boys getting all the wins and most people just picking up scraps. So what I reckon is, if you're looking on sort of form and stuff, Jakanowski is the one that ought to win. But having said that, you can be 100% certain that Devil's Eye for Steve Rand, Little Bitcoin for Thunderspark, and the Bookkeeper for Joshua Sutherland are all Group 1 horses. So we don't know, do we? It's just a complete and utter guess, basically. That's all you can say. So I hope Jakanowski wins, because it probably deserves to win, because it's already won twice.
I totally agree, and that's why I'm going to pick Little Bitcoin, because there's probably a 99% chance it's going to be a Group 1 horse. May not win a Group 1, but it'll definitely place in a Group 1, and I'm hoping that it wins.
Yeah, he probably will. And the one thing that is probably certain is that if John Morgan would have had one in this, because his stayers are really good, then we'd have both probably tipped that just blind, wouldn't we? Because we'd know it'd be a Group 1 horse in a Group 3 race, and it's going to win. So
we've got race 26, and now we're on to a handicap race. It's the Buckingham Palace Stakes over Ascot. £75,000, 7 furlong, and it's a 0 to 110 race, and it's a big field, big field.
It is, and one or two of the biggies have got ones in, and most of the runners though are the usual sort of handicap trainers, aren't they?
That I've got a horse in, right. So I may still have a winner. Yeah.
And what have you got in this one? You got Union Achiever, which has been getting close, hasn't it? 4th and 3rd. Has it got a chance?
Start of the week, I would have said yes, but after the last 2 days of racing, I'd say maybe not.
Yeah, I know what you mean, because mine haven't done anything at all this week. I've had one or two that got into about 4th or 5th. I think I might have had a 3rd yesterday. One that looked like it was going to win for a minute, but might have been pretty awful as well. Certainly don't think that you or me will be troubling the judge. There's a few in here that have had a win. I'm going to go for Mexican Bluebell Colin Clark, because he's got this string of Bluebell horses at the moment that seem to be pretty good, so I'm going to go for that one.
Probably our horses aren't badly off in the ratings in this race. I think if anything, maybe Leon's horse up the top, Audacious Tartars. Maybe that might be a bit handicapped by the weight it'll carry.
Yeah, that's obviously the class horse in the race, isn't it? But it's got a lot of weight.
Yep, definitely. Insects in thereabouts. Red King as well, Darren Thompson. Darren Howe's horse is... Yeah, I think I'll go for Kevin Minahan's horse, Sudden Impact. It's had a win 3 starts ago, a couple of placings last start. He might have... I'll just have a quick look. I'd imagine he might have just had a punch above its weight. I don't know, went up to a 0 to 100.
Well, he's already had a winner.
I reckon Serac going to be...
Yeah, he's already had a winner at Royal Ascot this week, hasn't he, Kevin Meehan? He had a winner over Jumps yesterday as well, so his horses are running well as well. Yep. So this is actually...
But very open race.
It is. It's going to be quite good. And of course, you've also got Hail to the King in there. Jamie Hopkins, he got his first win with that horse a couple of weeks ago as well. So he had a couple of good ones this week as well. Yeah, he should be...
James Fowler, he's been around them. He's due, isn't he?
Yeah. There's going to be a good race, that one, and it'll be a good horse that wins it. I think it'll probably go and win again afterwards, I would think, as well.
Right, let's move on to race 27. And I'd say this is pronounced Chesham.
That's right, yep.
Chesham Stakes, 7 furlong. It's a listed race. It's for 2-year-olds. So I was saying that. Who do you think will win?
Oh, again, how do we know? How do we know? All we can do is we can go on what we know of the trainer. We're basically picking the trainer rather than the horse. And we have seen this week that John Morgan's 2-year-olds, even though he said he was not going to do any more breeding anymore, they're monsters. So that Restless Rambler is going to be brilliant. Paul Rhodes has already come out and said that Senior Stu is going to win big races, and we saw what he could do at the window last season with that Doug's Fuzzy screen and stuff. Yeah. So we know those two are going to be good.
Doug's Fuzzy screen.
So how do you know?
In some ways, like if I had to put money on it, I'd put it on Restless Rambler.
Yeah, you would, especially after yesterday. I mean, John Morgan had 6 winners on the spin, I think, in the live stream. Paul had three in a dead heat. So,
but do we put our alliances towards Senior Stu, named after our
we should do. Poor old Stu. He's lying at home in bed with a bad ear, and he's also. He's also had a pretty traumatic week this week because good old Hollywood Hinton turned him into a woman because he named a horse Stu Gray. I don't know if you saw it earlier in the week. And it ran really well over fences, and then when the results come up, it's a mare. So poor old Stu was a bit sort of distraught about that he's got this horse named after him. It turned out to be a mare. So as long as Paul don't geld Senior Stu, this one's probably not going to be quite so bad. But yeah, we also want Senior Stu to win. Since just says that John Morgan's horse is going to win by a mile.
Let's move on to race 28, and that's the Hardwick Stakes, and that's Ascot again, obviously. 1 more 4 furlong and a Group 2, and fair size field.
Yeah, I was surprised this one isn't a little bit bigger, to be honest, because it's a Group 2, and again the new horse can get in it. But this time, there's only really Josh of the top trainers who's put a new one in, because obviously all of the other good trainers have already got a good mile and a half horse anyway. So yeah, it's probably between the top 3, isn't it, this?
Yeah, I'd say so.
I know Stu sort of said yesterday he thought Thunder Sparks horses had been a bit disappointed. He hadn't had as many winners as he thought that he would have had by this time. Stephen Rand's horses are running really well, and so are Jim's. So difficult to decide which one to come down on the side of, isn't it, really? But I think I'm going to go for Jester Starboy.
I might go for Leon's horse. It's been around the bark. Yeah, I'll just go for Leon's horse. Look for a bit of value. Its rating's not too bad. It's obviously been finishing behind him, so I might get a change of luck today. All right, race 29. I think this is the last big race from Ascot. It's the Diamond Jubilee, £500,000, 6 furlong, 3-year-old plus, and it's a small field but a fairly compact field.
But now just imagine if some of those new horses could have gone in this could have been 12, 14, 16 sprinters, far more exciting.
Fair enough. Yep.
Because some of those new horses that are sprinters might well have gone in here and had a chance of winning. What do I think's going to win? I don't know. The way I've been banging on today, perhaps I want to go for John Wayne.
Yeah, that's what I was going to go for. I just thought I'd spread the trainers around.
We'll ride into town and blow everybody away. Get off your horse and drink your milk or whatever it is. I don't know. So yeah, let's go for John Wayne, shall we?
Sounds good to me. Okay, we move on to race 30 and the last race yet, but it's the Wockingham Handicaps, 6 furlong, 0 to 110, 3-year-old plus, fair size field.
Yeah, this is again is one of those races in real life that has 30 runners charging up the straight. It's a spectacle, this race. It's a really good race to watch, and it's normally won by a good horse as well that ends up going on to win something a little bit better later on. So it should be good. Like you say, it's a reasonable sized field. I think that with sprints we're not going to get huge fields though, because most people. Most of their horses are sort of milers, middle distance things like that. A lot of people can't get good sprinters and stuff. So
Crikey, I've got the oldest horse in the field.
yeah, I mean, there's not many people that run flat horses of that sort of age. Most people tend to think that 3-year-olds are the best bet because they're going to get the weight for age allowance, and then other people think they peak at 4 and 5, and so that they put them in. So there aren't many people that put them in at 6, and we had a couple in yesterday in a flat race that were 8, so that's always good to see. So is that one of yours that you've just put in this year, or is it one that's been around for a few seasons?
No, this is first year in. In my game, it's pretty good. It's one of the horses I mean, sprinters. I had really good battling quality bar, and its speed bar, and the top bar, potential bar. That it wasn't full. It was probably around 95%, 92%, both of them. So one of those horses, if those two bars were full, I'd better rated than what it is. So 110 is probably a bit too hot for it. Probably needs more, maybe an 80 rated race. So you probably can count my horse out. Stu's always having a good run, and Pull Dirty, that's probably one of those horses named after the Dirty Prawn from District 9.
Yeah, that used to come with a rattle, didn't it? That Dirty Prawn, because you doing the calls on it, and if that's inherited that late burst that one had, then this is the sort of race that could be set up for Pull Dirty. And look through the field, there aren't that many winners in there, are there? So certainly not in the last few races anyway. So he's probably got a chance there, Stu. So the horse that's named after him might win, and then he might go and win as well. He's sort of blowing us all away this week, isn't he? On the old commentating stakes, he's sort of doing far better than you and me put together.
Exactly. So who are you going to go for?
I'm going to go for difficult this one. I'm going to go for Leon, Bad Moon Rising. That looks just about the right sort of weight you'd want. It's going to be getting, £25 from the top one. So with the way the handicap works now, pretty much everything underneath that is going to be out of the handicap. So certainly from Masterpiece down, they're definitely going to be out of the handicap. So I think Bad Moon Rising might be the one that's well in.
Yep, no, that's a good call. So race 31. I believe this is race 31 is the Duke of Edinburgh Handicap, and that's a 1 mile 6 furlong, and it's a 0 to 90. Open for 3-year-old plus.
The form of most of these isn't looking that good, is it really? You've got Mr. Spock in there, which is a winner, and I know from conversations we've had before, he's a horse that you quite like.
I do, and he's a 3-year-old, and I've thrown him in here because this was the distance he won over, I think, from memory. I remember he won over 14 furlongs, so it's 2,800. Yeah, so that's what this is.
So is this your best chance of a win, you reckon, this week?
No, I've had a shocking week.
He probably wants to be in there with a chance. I think, working it out, I think it's probably going to be about £4 wrong in the handicap. I think it'll be out of the handicap by about £4, which hampers its chance a little bit. But I think it should still run a decent looking race for you. For some reason, Mr. Cat's form isn't showing up. That has run before, obviously, because this is a handicap. It wouldn't be allowed in otherwise. So I don't know why Mr. Cat.
So I'll just click on the
form doesn't show up. I think this was the one that Darren Howes put in twice by mistake. Once as a jumper, once as a flat horse, and he had to delete one. And I think he deleted the jump. And for some reason, that means the form isn't showing up. But it's
yes, it said 4 starts, Mr. Cat. First start was 12th. Second start was all over the 14 furlong. Second start, it ran second in a 0 to 70. Then it ran a fifth in a 0 to 85, and then fifth again in a 0 to 85.
Yeah, and these are the sort of level races where you immediately are drawn to Darren Howes and James Follis and people like that, because Kevin Mead and Colin Clark, because they win them quite a lot. I think you can probably rule Grays out because it's got top weight and it's very difficult to carry top weight around Ascot, especially over these long distance races.
And these handicap races are real hard to carry top weight.
It is. I think Formula One Follis has been knocking on the door, and I reckon that he's going to take this. I think Berger will win this.
Yep. No, sounds like a good call, and I will go for. I'll just go for Mr. Cat.
Yeah, I think if we wanted to do your sort of like boxing them up forecast thing, if we do Follis and Howells, we're not going to go far wrong, are we, in these races? Certainly going to get a run for our money, that's for sure.
Okay, race 32 is the Queen Alexandra, and I think this is the last race from memory from Ascot. It sure is, and it's a long race.
This race, in real life, is normally won by a jumps trainer with a jumps horse that runs on the flat.
Because it's that far.
Because it's that
that
far.
long a race.
Yeah, because no flat breeder in the world breeds a horse to run over this sort of trip. The only horses that run over this trip are ones that are either so slow that it's last chance saloon, or they're decent national hunt horses who are going to try and get a big prize on the flat. Now, I have made a really big mistake in this race because I've entered Laughing Wolf in it. The reason I entered Laughing Wolf in it is because I hadn't got any other race I could put him in, apart from the Gold Cup, and I put Bad Attitude in that. Now, Laughing Wolf, he can stay 2.5 miles just about, but he's better at 2.25. So if he wins, I dare say there'll be a post up in the thing tomorrow. Oh, you're not playing the game right because you entered a 2 mile horse in a 2.5 mile race. That's one thing. The other thing is, if it does go and win, and then it gets deemed as this is its best distance, it'll get a handicap mark of about 95 or 100. I won't be able to run it again because it won't be eligible for any races. So it's a real pointless sort of race for a lot of reasons, because you're not really telling me that Paul Rhodes and Thunderspark and John Morgan have deliberately bred those horses to win this one particular race.
What have they got to enter in after this? Because they're Group 1 trainers here. First start.
Yeah,
is there any other big...
They're Gold Cup horses, really. They should be in Karl Marx, Ripple, probably even zoned out for Graham Clutterbuck. Definitely toe the line for John Morgan. That toe the line will be a bit like that Koyak. Toe the line will win this by 15 lengths probably. Probably not that far, but you know what I mean. It'll absolutely walk this, which again isn't fair on the likes of Colin Clark, who's got his hammerhead in there, who's been plugging away and probably sort of deserves to win this.
When you look at it like that, Colin's not going to get a fair go in this race when really he should be in it up to his eyeballs.
Yeah,
but he won't.
It's I don't know why we have this race really. It's almost like a reserve Gold Cup, because Karl Marx, Ripple, toe the line. If they'd have been allowed to run those in the Gold Cup and they hadn't got another horse in there already, they would have. So toe the line will win this, simply because John Morgan's stayers are just so much better than everybody else's.
Yeah, I'll go toe the line as well. Well, I've hijacked a Concorde that I've pulled out of a museum, and we're going to fly over to Brooklyn for the Belmont Stakes. That's the last leg of the Triple Crown, and obviously the Triple Crown probably be the most prestigious group of races in America, I'd imagine. And it's got a really good field.
It has.
Not a big field, but a very good field.
It's got a really good field.
Not much filler.
Probably could sort of like make a case for probably half a dozen of them, couldn't you, really? I mean, I'm guessing that both you and Paul Rhodes are disappointed in Winks. She hasn't managed to win a race yet.
Yep.
That's the first one I'm going to disregard, because you see 2 seconds and 2/3, that doesn't fill me full of confidence that you've got a horse that's got the right constitution to want to win races. So I'm going to rule that one out. I've tipped We Built This City before, and it's come up a little bit short for me. Rain looks interesting because it's unbeaten Thunderspark, and he says he missed the derby because he basically forgot to enter it. So you know that's going to be good. But Do you know what? There's just something really exciting about this one at the top. This pristine stems. I know you've got a theory about them winning 2 or 3 on the trot, and this one's won 3 on the trot already. But how good is it to see a horse that's won 3 races on the trot that is trained by somebody outside what you would initially think of as the top 3 or 4? And Darren Thompson's got some really good horses this year, and I hope that one stays unbeaten and wins.
No, very cool. I'm going to go for one of Stephen Rand's Time Bandit.
Time Bandit's going to be one of those ones that's going to get a little bit of a weight advantage, isn't it? Because it's a filly. I'm not sure whether a lot of the others are. I was presumably Winx's, but after the thing we had with Stu Gray earlier this week, I wouldn't like to guarantee that any of them are fillies or colts anymore. But yeah, it's going to be a good race, that. And sadly, from a British point of view, I think it's probably a better race than any of the races we've seen at Ascot this week. It looks like it is going to be an absolute belter.
That is true. And when you think of it, it's just your bottom 2 really that are just right out of it. No disrespect to grey or serious horses. They're really just filler for this. The top 7. They're the ones that.
And I mean, looking at
playing a part at some time down the straight.
Looking at the handicap mark they've got, those two, 98 and 89, and the fact that they're mile and a half horses, probably wasn't any sort of alternative race for them to go in, really. I mean, I suppose they both could have gone in sort of like depending on whether they're a filly or a colt, they could have gone in the King Edward or the Ribblesdale, but probably the trainers had already got one in that and thought they might as well split the difference. I mean, I thought about putting one in this, but then you just look at those top 5, and then even if you want to throw Winx in, because you know that it's a Paul Rhodes horse, it's good. If you or me had put an horse in this, we'd be lucky to get 7th or 8th. So
I'd run last. My horse would run last.
Yeah, we'd be out the back somewhere. But again, you've got the thing with this, that it's one of those small American dirt tracks. You can guarantee, can't you, that with how competitive it looks, there is going to be at least 1, possibly even 2 of those trainers that are going to come out with a hard luck story at the end. They've either got boxed in or they've been forced to go wide round the turn, and that's what's made the difference. So it's all going to be about the race positioning and how they run and the draw they get and stuff. It's a pity we haven't got a way we can see the draw before we do these. It's that sort of thing.
It's also pretty lucky that trainers can have multiple entries in this too, because both Steve Moran and Paul Rhodes are putting an extra horse, and if you take those 2 horses out, it's just a field of 7 in a Belmont Stakes. Seems a bit wrong if the field was that small. So
yeah, I mean, I don't know as well. There's an argument with some of these really big races where you can have 2 runners in. Why we don't increase the prize money down to about 8th or something? Then that might encourage some of the lesser trainers to put a horse in, thinking, I'll pick up 8th place prize money in the Belmont Stakes. That's as good as coming second in a 0 to 70 handicap. But of course, if I say things like that, then the top trainers are going to turn and go, we don't want the donkeys running in these races because they get in the way and stop us winning. So can't win, can you?
No. And also it might be a bit of extra work for Leon in Tom's or the race kit. So
no, that's true. I do sometimes forget about those little behind the scenes things that other people do. So yeah, that's it then this week, isn't it? It's
definitely
been an interesting sort of week. Ascot and everything. We've had a reasonably good time, haven't we? Some pretty good races. I'm still of the opinion that we should have a week before Royal Ascot after the transfer window, just to get back into the swing of it all and build up the excitement, and then you'd have loads of new maiden winners in the big races, and it would make it even more exciting, I think.
Yeah, I think the highlight for me at the carnival so far was Darren Howell's win on the first day. It's race 9. So
that was a
cracker of a race.
Yeah, I mean, we have had some really good finishes this week. So you're going to give most of the group races have been good as well. I don't think the 2 entries has done anything other than good, really. I think it's made some of the races really exciting to see Paul Rhodes' two horses trying to wear down that other one in one of those big races earlier in the week, but the other one holding off was pretty exciting stuff. And again, it helps those top trainers that can't get their horses in the handicaps to get runs into their horses, because they struggle just as much as the bottom people do sometimes to get their horses in. But
personally, I'm looking forward to next week, and but that's just because I'm a handicap trainer, and there'll be a lot more races for me to put entries into. But as a spectacle and the big race carnival, Ascot's a great carnival.
It is. It's pretty good, and I know the good thing about this sort of way this sort of season works is you're straight on to the next thing. So we'll have big races again next week. Well, I mean, it's probably the Eclipse next week. I think it might even be the Irish Derby as well. And the jumps seems to have been sort of like the poor country cousin so far this season. But I'm pretty sure we must be getting close to King George time. That might be next week. So because it was the first Christmas races at Leopardstown and stuff in Ireland this week, so I reckon next week we might have the King George and the Welsh National and all sorts of good races like that. So maybe next week we'll be focusing on the jumps a little bit more and seeing what's going on over there.
Definitely. No worries.
But anyway, that's it then. Doug, we've had a good week. We haven't messed about with any of the fashion bits this week or seeing the Queen or everything, because we've decided it's too wet and rainy and you can't see anything through the tops of them carriages anyway, and most of the women have got Max on and we've been told off too many times already for our comments and things, so we're just going to stick to the horses today, and we'll maybe be back another day. I'll catch you next time.
No problem. Right, see you, man.
Okay, a little bit of a bonus section at the end of the show. Stu has crawled out of his sick bed and he's going to give us the benefit of his kisses of Stu, although they're probably all going to be contagious today. How you doing, Stu? You feeling all right?
Yeah, no, I feel a bit better. I do feel a bit better. Thank you very much. Okay. But I thought I can't miss out tipping some of these beasts.
Okay, so we'll just go through what you think then. I can't remember off the top of my head now what me and Doug have picked in most of these races, because it was a while ago when I spoke to Doug. So, Queen's Vase first up then, 2 miles. We've got to look at
3. Okay, there's a lot of new horses in this, so a bit of a tricky one. Steve Moran's got one in it as well. Thunder Spark, Jakanowski's got the best form. Now let's have Graham's Captain Kirk. I think it's come second twice. I know you don't like horses that continually come second, but I think today may be the day. Third time lucky, Captain Kirk.
So you're expecting that one to boldly go where it's not gone before?
Exactly.
Right, race 26 then is the first of today's handicaps, and a 7 furlonger, 0 to 110 Buckingham Palace Stakes.
You've got one in there, haven't you, Martin? Starter Home. Miss Fairwood's bottom weight. We're giving away a lot. Bodacious Towers is well rated though, isn't it? Now I'm actually going to go for the top rated one. I think Bodacious Tatus, for Leon Van Rensburg will take that. I think it's probably a class above the rest. So the
Chesham is next then, first of today's 2-year-old races. This is, of course, in effect, a Group 1 with all these newbies in it. What do you look of in that?
Well, I like mine actually, Cattle Van. I'd really like it to do well. It's not going to compete with Paul Rhodes and Thunder Spark and such alike, I don't think. But I think it would good run of itself. It actually needs a furlong further, so really it's coming here just to warm itself up. I think it will go better over a mile. I see there's a horse by Paul named Senior Stew. I assume I have something to do with that, and that's the one I have to tip. I mean, I'm not going to look at anything else. It's terrible to say, but if someone's got used my name, Paul Rhodes, you're going to win that with Senior Stew.
Well, I think he's posted in the forums that he's named that after you, and he's already said he's going to win a Group 1 later on in the season. So this is why I'm saying, in effect, this is a Group 1 race. So you're probably going to get beaten by yourself, but at least this time you're actually a male horse rather than a mare, like Derek did for you and named a mare after you, which was a bit...
I'm starting to think, are you trying to tell me something, Del?
Hope that Paul Rhodes doesn't decide to geld Senior Stew and send it over hurdles or something. And
ouch.
There you go. So race 28 is next then, that's the Hardwick, and that's a 1.5 miles. Once again, Group 2, so it's going to have quite a few newbies in it, so it's really going to be like a Group 1. You've got one in this as well, which is called King George. Is that because you think it might win the King George later in the season?
I very much doubt it. I think, to be truthful with you, it's probably one of those horses that just had a fairly good name from its mum and dad and got left. But actually, it's running probably also probably a couple of furlongs less than it needs. And it really is just to probably get a bit of a rating, which is a bit naughty at times. But I think it will be standing on at the end. I mean, it certainly isn't going to beat some of these. I mean, you've got Jester Starboy that's never been out of the first three. Some of all parts has now got a bit of form. Out of the newbies, actually, there's nobody other than really Hands that does well at this level. Oh, Joshua's got one in there, hasn't he? Looks decent enough.
Oh, and Darren Thompson. Don't forget Darren Thompson. He's a
I forget Darren. I do apologise. And he usually does very well. I never put him in the Group 1ers. I wonder why that is. Maybe it's because he's not so active in the forums.
I think this is Darren's breakthrough season, really, isn't he? He's this season what sort of Josh was last season, I think, because he's been winning some really good races and he's got some really good horses, and I think he's going to be the next one to break into that upper echelon of monster trainers. I think he's the next in line.
Yeah, no, you're probably right there. And like I said before, I think Moilitz is on the cusp of that as well. I think obviously the Group 1, there'll be a few more about. I think there'll be 5 or 6, 7 maybe trainers all at that level, rather than the 4 or 5 we've got at the moment. But now looking at it, I think Jim's got to do well. He didn't have a particularly good day yesterday, and that horse is quite well rated, and it's got some form. It's certainly going to get some money. It's not going to finish probably out the first 4, but I'll go for Jester Starboy for Jim Murray.
So the Diamond Jubilee next then is the 6 furlong sprint. Very, very small field, of course, because there's been the other 6 furlong sprint with all the 3-year-olds went in, apart from the 3 that have gone in this one instead. It looks like it might be a decent sort of race, though. What do you like looking than that?
Quite even, isn't it? I mean, there's nothing there. I mean, Digital Prince doesn't have total unbeatable bearing. Gifts obviously doesn't like to win. John Wayne, Mr. Rival Valley. Sadly, I don't think In Tuned or No Option will get there. John Wayne might leave it too late. Boys, okay, I'm going to go for Digital Prince of Thunder Spark. You know, it's won a couple of times. Probably the other 2 races, it's probably not running at his ideal distance. So Digital Prince of Thunder Spark.
Okay, I'm pretty sure me and Doug both went for John Wayne in that one because we thought he might come into town and sort of mosey on up to the winning post and
drink his milk.
So Wokingham then next, 6 furlong sprint. This
is that Wokingham or Wokingham?
It's Wokingham. It's always a good race. This I like these big sprints and pretty open looking race as well. There's quite a few in with chances there.
Yeah, no, there is. I think obviously you got the top weight with Randolph Scott, and it's just on this top of the rating as well. Not many 1s and 2s there across the field. I mean, the only one last time out was Sharp Rock for Daniel French, but it's a 3-year-old, and my theory is 3-year-olds can't carry the same weight as a 4-year-old. I know that sounds bad. I'll shut up.
No, it makes sense. That's why they get the weight for age allowance.
Yeah, no, I agree. No. Ocean Colour Scene, how do we fancy with that?
Ocean Colour Scene is an experiment. It's a 7 furlong or a mile horse, but it normally goes out lickety split. And I thought, well, Ascot's a bit of a stiff track, and there wasn't another 7 furlong race I could put it in. I've got another one to go in the other 7 furlong races, and I thought, let's see, because I haven't got very good sprinters. My sprinters are not very good, and I've uploaded some new ones, and they're all of my 6 furlong and 5 furlong tries were won by milers or 7 furlong horses, and so I haven't got a decent sprinter, and I thought, well, this one, it might just turn into one. So it's an experiment this week. Stick it in a 6 furlong race, see what happens. It's within its parameters that's allowed, because its best runs over 7, so it's allowed to run over 6. If it does okay today over sprints, then it might become my sprinter for the rest of the season. If it doesn't, then it'll just join the throng of 7 furlong mile 0 to 90 handicappers that I've got, and I could run my own season of 0 to 90 handicappers or over a mile, I think, this season.
No, well, good luck with that one. I see Doug's got one in there as well. Our odd pudding's getting a little bit better week in, 5th, then a 4th. Could be a place this week.
Yeah, I seem to think Doug sort of thought that I'd got a bit of a chance from what we said earlier. And of course, you've got another son of Dirty Prawn in there as well, haven't you? And we were saying that Dirty Prawn used to come with a rattle at the end, so if that one's inherited that burst at the end, that could do okay as well.
No, it's a funny horse, that Paul Dirty. It really is. I don't fancy it. That's my personal opinion, even off the way. It's probably still carrying too much in this compared to some of the others. No, it's a tough one, this.
Well, I'll tell you what, if you don't fancy it, then that means I think it'll win now, then, because the way your tipping goes normally, if you don't think it'll win, it'll probably win by about 4 lengths.
I've got a sneaky feeling I'm not going to win anything at Ascot. I can come second, and that's about it. But you never know, because we're getting near the end now. This is race 30 of the 32. Now I'm going to go for Kevin Minahan's Spot the Zebra, and that's purely on its kind of name and where it's sitting in the handicap as well.
Yeah, with all these new coloured fancy silks with all multicolours in, I wonder how long it's going to be before somebody asks if they can have a horse with stripes so they can see it better. We might be able to spot zebras all the time then.
Wasn't there a film about a zebra wanting to be a racehorse? Or was it the other way round?
Well, a racehorse wanting to be a zebra. I really don't know.
No, okay, it must have been a zebra wanting to be a racehorse. You are right.
I can't imagine too many film producers being presented a script of a racehorse that wishes it was a zebra, thinking, "This is a good film. Let's do this." But having said that, somebody decided to make that awful film about Shergar. I don't know if you've ever seen it, where they decided at the end that Shergar committed suicide by jumping off a cliff.
Really?
Yeah, it is the most
What a twist.
ridiculous horse racing film I have ever seen in my life. It was so bad I couldn't stop watching it because they're getting so many things wrong. And then this Shergar gets back with a lad that was looking after it, and he gallops it into a cliff, and you just see him sort of, I don't know, actually see it, whether you're supposed to just imagine it, but he's basically galloping off the edge of a cliff. It's just the stupidest film ever.
Yeah, I wouldn't have watched that. I'm sure that I don't really know what happened to Shergar, but I think it had something to do with the political stuff that was going on at the time.
I think that those of us that know about these sort of things know exactly what happened to Shergar, and I'll probably end up dead in the woods for saying it, but what happened was that horse was kidnapped, and it was a very sort of nervous type of horse, and it didn't like not being around the people it used to like being around and being looked after by the right people and being in the right surroundings, and it used to get itself in a bit of a state, and I think it got itself in a bit of a state and either broke its leg or had an heart attack or something, and then they were suddenly left with a dead horse on their hands, and that's what happened.
Okay, no, that's probably more a realistic assumption. Yeah, I have to say, I don't really know much about it, but you're right. I mean, it probably is something as simple as that.
It certainly didn't commit suicide by galloping off a cliff. Anyway.
Okay, moving on to race 31, Duke of Edinburgh Handicap. It's over a mile 6, 0 to 90. You've got one in there, Sunset Ride. You're usually quite good with your placement of horses over this sort of distance. You're up against Close, it's a bit short. Berger's the only one for James Follis that's got a bit of form. Mr. Cat, we don't know what it is. That's that horse that was going to run over the jumps, I think, at the beginning of the season, wasn't it? Darren kind of stole it back in or something. I can't remember the story behind it.
Yeah, he put it in twice. He put it in once as a jumper and once as a flat horse, and they decided to keep it as the flat horse.
Zeffirelli, though, has got a second there, which means it probably has come back down in the weights. No, it's a tricky one. You are right. I mean, James's Berger, I assume that's named after the Formula One guy, and Mr. Cat. But no, I'm going to give your horse the tip. Sunset Ride. I think you deserve a winner this week, and I think this is where you're going to get it.
Well, I wouldn't be so sure about that. Sunset Ride is good and will win again. This is already won once, but just these big races just seems to come a little bit short. It'll probably finish about third or fourth. I'll be disappointed if she's not in the money. I'm not so sure she'll win. I thought you might go for a Star Trek double bin as you've already gone for Captain Kirk. I thought you might have gone for Mr. Spock.
Yeah. No, I didn't want to give poor old Doug the kiss of death. He doesn't get in the old winners' enclosure too often, so I thought I'd just leave him alone.
Okay, so you thought you'd give me the kiss of death instead, like you did yesterday with Russian Foxbat.
Well, you've won enough. To me, you've won enough for the season. You don't need to win any more.
Okay. Right, on to the last race then, which I have rather naughtily dubbed the Reserve Gold Cup race, because basically it's full of everybody's second Gold Cup horse, really.
Yeah, there's some newbies in there as well, isn't there? I mean, what are you going to say, John Morgan? I mean, if he's put something in there...
The king of the staying trainers, isn't he? All his stayers are so much better than everybody else's.
Yeah, I mean, Koigark. Why am I not saying it properly? I usually say it properly. No, I mean, it's feet and head and who's above everybody else. I mean, it proved it. I mean, just coming into the last furlong and then winning by 4 lengths. I mean, it wasn't... so, no, I don't particularly want to pick John Morgan's horse because I'd like to think something else could probably win out of that, but it is probably going to be John Morgan's Toe the Line. And I'll go for Karl Marx going second. So there's your little forecast, a straight forecast. You don't even need to reverse it. Toe the Line followed by Karl Marx. But they're both short prices. You won't get much on it.
I think that's probably pretty safe. And then we've got one more race that me and Doug had a look at because it's probably one of the best looking races of the week. Actually, it's over in America, the Belmont, third leg of their Triple Crown, and it's a pretty tasty looking field. So what do you like to look of in that?
Let's have a look. Oh yeah, no, it's a tasty field as I look at it now. There's plenty of ones in there, plenty of winners. If Paul's can't get its nose in front, money. I have a feeling Steve Rand will take this. His horses have done pretty well, if I'm not wrong, in the foreign dirt races. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure he done. I mean, although Pristine Stems never lost, Darren Thompson. Now I'm going to go for Steve Ram. Steve Ram's going to take it with Time Bandit. That was a good film. Do you remember that film? Time Bandits.
No, I don't. Not a big.
The Monty Python people, the little midgets.
Not a big film person. We'll see. Anyway, thanks for getting out of your sick bed, Stu.
No
and you didn't miss a lot today because it was pouring around and horrible at Ascot. So me and Doug just stayed in the bar and chatted about the races. We didn't even bother venturing outside. No celebrity guests. We didn't even bother looking for the Queen today. So it's a rather quiet and subdued end to the week. And we'll catch you next time. Good to chat and look after yourself.
Likewise. Good luck, everybody. And I'm off to Punches Down now to do a bit of commentary.
All right. Okay. We'll look forward to that. See you in a bit.
Bye.